Hello, Cincinnati, coming to you live from the Jack and Jones Trader Studio at the University of Cincinnati. This is from J to Z on Bearcast Media.
Tonight, night following Selection Sunday, we'll be breaking down the brackets from J to Z on a special Bracketology Edition. Let's just get started. Jump into it.
All right, we're going to jump right into it, starting with the South Region, number 1 seed Kansas. Not really much to say on this game. There's not really a single shot that a number 1 seed is going to lose.
I think we can both agree that Kansas isn't going to lose to Austin Peay.
None of these number 1 seeds are going to lose. So let's just jump right into Colorado, UConn. I've got UConn going really far in this tournament.
I also have UConn, always a good March Madness team, playing pretty well right now.
Yeah, came off a really big win against us that led them all the way to the championship.
Arguably a win against us.
Well, in the books, a win against us. And, playing hot when it matters most. And, I mean, this team seems to be able to make runs every few years. So, I think it's going to be one of those years, but I don't know. We'll discuss that a little more as we get into the later rounds. Next matchup, got Maryland, South Dakota State.
Going Maryland.
See, I'm going South Dakota State. I'm going upset heavy in this tournament because
this tournament's probably your best shot to go that route.
Right. It's been crazy all season. Maryland was at the top of the rankings and they dropped. I mean, they dropped a lot more games. At one point, they were going to be a 1 seed, and they dropped a lot more games than I think anybody thought they would. And, in their last 12 games, they're 7-5. South Dakota State, albeit it's South Dakota State, they're 10-2, coming off a conference win.
Right. I don't think Maryland's going to lose this game. I do see them going out early, but not first round.
To me, it's been upset crazy. Same thing with the next game. California, Hawaii. I'm going South Dakota State. In that game, I'm going Hawaii for the exact same reason.
I agree with you about Hawaii. I actually watched the game that they played, the championship game, and I was impressed. I wasn't expecting much from that game, but I was actually kind of impressed at the way Hawaii played. So I think the way they're playing right now, they definitely have a shot to upset Cal.
Yeah, only 5 losses, 10-2 in their last 12 games as well. Haven't really played any big teams. They played Oklahoma, only lost by 3, which, is a loss, but that's still kind of impressive to come within 3 of a team that some people are actually picking to win the entire thing.
Right.
I think it's a good pick for an upset. We've both got them. Arizona, Vanderbilt, or Wichita State.
Well, who do you got first, Vanderbilt or Wichita State?
I think Wichita State's going to win it.
I agree.
They just because the last few years,
they seem to always make their way into the tournament as well.
Yeah. But I have Arizona beating whoever wins that game.
So do I.
They're kind of in a can't decide if the Pac-12's good or not.
Well, Oregon made a strong case.
Oregon made a really strong case, but it's I don't know. It's hard to figure out how good that conference is because sometimes some of the teams are good and some are just like USC, big school should be good, but they sucked towards the end of the season.
Well, they're in it. So is Oregon State. So
I think
yeah.
I don't view that as a very strong conference, which is part of the reason I'm not a huge fan of Oregon getting the number 1 seed. So Arizona winning that one. Miami, Buffalo, I'm going to assume you have Miami.
Right. Absolutely.
Iowa, Temple.
Well, I think this could be another upset. I took Iowa just because I think they'll outplay Temple. I think they're more ready for the tournament than Temple is. But Temple's a decent team. I could see them upsetting them. I didn't take them for the upset, but I won't be surprised if they do pull the upset.
I took Iowa as well, but I actually did put a lot of thought into this one. Iowa's 5-7 coming into this game, and
right.
They're the same team. I think they got up to number 4 in the country, maybe.
I think they might have broke top 3, possibly.
And then they just 5-7 in their last 12 games to finish the season. Just tanked. Went from 1, maybe 2 seed to 7 seed.
Right.
Just crazy. Temple's 9-3. Obviously didn't win the AAC.
Made it to the championship game, though.
Yeah.
Against a really good UConn.
A really hot UConn.
Hot UConn, yeah.
And, Iowa puts up a ton of points every game, but it's, this is the time of year where if you have to be hot. And Iowa's the exact opposite of hot. They might be one of the coldest teams coming into this tournament.
They also have Utah, though, up for Wooden Player of the Year.
Yeah.
So he'll be a lot to handle for Temple.
He will be a lot to handle, for any team. But
right.
It's if this team can figure out how they were winning at the beginning of the season. It's which Iowa team shows up.
Right.
If the beginning of the season Iowa team shows up, they're a legitimate threat for the entire tournament.
I mean, they proved themselves. They definitely proved themselves early on. Just this last, maybe having this slump right at the end was good. Maybe they'll get hot again and really show that the true Iowa.
Yeah, it completely depends which one shows up, because that is a possible at a 7 seed. I guess they really could be considered a sleeper. But I mean, if they play like they did at the beginning of the season, that wouldn't surprise me too much if they went to the Final Four, if they made a run. I'm just going to assume you have Villanova.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Villanova, you have Iowa. You still got Villanova going into the Elite Eight?
Yeah, I think I do. They're just good. I think it might be a close matchup, but I think Nova's got it.
Yeah. Nova's a pretty well-rounded team, but that game could be a complete blowout, or Iowa could win.
It could be a complete blowout either way, honestly.
Yeah. That game, it's a 7-2, but that's actually kind of a coin toss game.
Good matchup.
Yeah. A 7-2 really doesn't adequately describe that matchup. That's a lot more even than 7-2. Yeah. I have Nova too, but it wouldn't. It's only because I'm not confident picking Iowa with how cold they've been. But I would not be shocked at all if Nova dropped that game.
So going up, you chose Miami and Arizona.
Yep, and Miami coming out of that.
I brought Miami out of that too.
Arizona's not bad. They've been
just too inconsistent. Miami offensively is dangerous.
Really good. Yeah. Miami's a pretty strong team. You've got Maryland, Hawaii?
Yes.
I've got South Dakota State, Hawaii, 12-13. I have Hawaii winning that game.
Yeah, I took Maryland over Hawaii.
Okay,
but those scenarios, either one could happen.
Exactly. 5-12 is a fairly common upset.
Yeah.
It's. I almost favor 12s and 5-12s. That would be a 5-13 if Maryland won.
Yeah.
But I don't know. 5 seeds tend to drop a lot. It's a weird seed. Kansas, UConn.
I put Kansas. As good as UConn is in March Madness, I think Kansas is still a better March Madness team regardless of record or seed. Bill Self just knows how to get it done.
But does he? Because it seems like every year Kansas gets to this point where they're a number 1 seed or a number 2, and they can
consistently make it to the Sweet 16 Elite 8. I don't see them going out this early. You are right. They always do get nudged out there,
right.
But
they're just
round of 32 is just a little bit too early for me to let them go.
See, for me, I've got UConn winning this game. And this was by far the hardest pick of the entire tournament for me. It was the second round. Because if UConn faces anyone who's not Kansas, I don't really think about it too much. And I still pick UConn because they're hot and because UConn, over the last few years, has been one of the, like a Butler a few years ago, where there were a couple seasons where they just, like, you had no idea why or how, but they just kept going.
Right.
Like VCU, they did it a few times. I think it's a year for UConn, and I want to say it's because they're hot, but Kansas is on, I think, a 14-game win streak.
Best record in NCAA
and
this year.
Debatably the champ of the hardest conference in basketball.
Right.
It is hard, and I'm a Jayhawks fan. That's the one team that's my college basketball team. But, man, it is just, I feel like part of it as a fan to be disappointed so often with Kansas in the tournament because they get so hyped.
Right.
That, they've been knocked off as number 1 in the country. So it just wouldn't surprise me too much. But I've got UConn, Hawaii, which is, looking at it now, is kind of a silly matchup.
But this year, that very possible matchup, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. It's hard to say that anything we say is could be considered silly with just how much some of these teams have been dropping,
right? And
the fact that Maryland and Iowa aren't number 1 or 2 seeds, and South Carolina was undefeated halfway through the season and didn't even make the tournament.
Yeah,
so
I have Kansas and Maryland. Like I think Maryland's gonna beat Hawaii. Kansas is gonna beat Maryland. So I have Kansas moving on past that game.
What about Miami Nova?
I chose Miami.
Okay. I've got Nova.
It's going to be a very close game. I think they are well-matched. That's a well-matched game. But I think Miami's got the upper hand. Nova lost to Xavier and in Seton Hall.
Yeah, well, Seton Hall seems to be everyone's kryptonite in the Big East.
Right.
Unfortunately, they're not really playing any Big East teams. If they could have ended up playing Nova or Xavier, they were a legitimate, Elite 8 team.
Right.
They kind of got snubbed in that respect, I guess. I've got Nova. Both these teams are pretty equally hot. Nova's scoring a little more every game, holding their opponents to a little less. I mean, these two teams are pretty evenly matched up. Nova's got a little harder strength of schedule, which with 5 losses and a harder strength of schedule, I'm going to give them the edge. Right. But, I mean, this is another one of those that, if Miami won, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
It could happen.
So you have Miami or Nova and UConn.
Correct.
For that final 2 in that region.
Yep. And I'm rolling with the Huskies. I've got UConn in my final 4.
I took Kansas over Miami.
The popular pick. Kansas is right now the popular pick to win the whole thing and come out of that conference. Going off ESPN and the national bracket, kind of how percentages have picked thus far, they're picking Kansas and Nova to go into the Final Four, with Kansas going into the Final Four.
Yeah.
Almost a lot of their 23% of brackets have Kansas winning, which compared to years past isn't too high. I think when Louisville had their run, and Kentucky last year, 70% of brackets had Kentucky winning.
Yeah.
A bunch had Louisville a few years ago when they ended up winning the whole thing.
But considering what kind of season it is this year.
Exactly. I mean, that's why I think UConn, I don't know. I've got my faith in them. So I've got them coming out with the South Division going into the Final Four.
So you have UConn for the South Division, I have Kansas for the South Division.
Before we move on, let's kind of talk about some of these snubs and surprises, because there really wasn't too much of a surprise in that quadrant, but there is in just about every other one. And I think probably the most blaring one is Oregon, and really kind of North Carolina.
Well, I think Michigan is a surprise anyways. Even though it's just a playoff game, they weren't even first 4 out. They were a next 4 out team.
Yeah. I mean, they made it to the national or the final game.
Yeah. So this could be huge for them.
Yeah. I mean, that was surprising to see them not get an outright seed.
This tournament is very, very big conference heavy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Unless you won the actual conference title, not too many of those smaller conferences got. But, I mean, those power conferences had a lot of teams. They were deep this year.
Right. One of the snubs was Monmouth. They were in it, I think, up to the point of Selection Sunday. Everyone thought they were going to be in it, and then...
Yeah, a lot of people were frustrated that they didn't make it, but, they're 27-7, first in the MAC, but just their losses, the 3 that stand out, they had 7 total. They lost to Manhattan 13-18, Kinesis 14-19, and Army, who's 19-13, but just not a very mediocre team for that conference. Just bad losses, and they really did not have a hard schedule.
Right.
So 27 wins is hardly that impressive. Their biggest win of the season was against Notre Dame, which, albeit, that's impressive. It was a 2-point win at the beginning of the season. But, if you look through their schedule, they just lost to Iona twice, who's in the tournament, but, probably going out in the first round. Just not an impressive schedule.
Florida also got kicked out pretty hard.
I was initially kind of upset that Florida didn't make it. I think they finished 8th in the SEC.
Well, looking back, though, they really didn't make much noise around the NCAA this year.
And not as typical Florida teams would.
Right.
I think my biggest snub was South Carolina. Even though they finished poorly,
they were the last remaining undefeated team at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, they started their season 15-0. Didn't lose until Alabama, which they lost by 23.
Yeah.
And that was just in January. They were undefeated until January 13th. And finished the season 9-8. And, that cost them a spot in the tournament. But even if you look at some of the teams they lost to, Kentucky, Georgia 3 times, those aren't horrible teams. Tennessee, you lose to Alabama, that hurts you.
I don't know, if you play a team 3 times like they played Georgia, you can't get swept.
Yeah, that's fair. Georgia's not anything to write home about.
But you'd think by that 3rd time you'd have something figured out to beat them.
Yeah. But, you can't tell me that a team, pick like UNC Wilmington or like some of these just Little Rock. You can't tell me if you set them up against South Carolina.
Holy Cross, 14-19. Granted, they won their conference.
Won their conference, but like that even raises another question that, a team who competed all season, 8 losses or not,
right?
Actually had a hard strength of schedule, came out with a really strong winning record. They don't even get any seed, but you're going to put, it raises the question, even if you win your conference, do you still deserve to be in it? Which at 14-19, no, you don't. I get you got hot, and maybe I'm sure luck played a lot of that. But 14-9, it's
when you win your conference and still have a play-in game,
it's
that's
you're garbage.
Yeah.
You just don't deserve that. And there are teams that got snubbed that do. Not that you're going to put South Carolina to 16 seed, but you maybe bump CSU Bakersfield, maybe bump Green Bay back a little bit, and put South Carolina in there somewhere.
Right.
There's just...
I might even root for Holy Cross now that they're 14-19.
Yeah, Oregon's a lot of people think an overrated 1 seed. They're really hot right now.
I agree they might be an overrated 1 seed, but not...
Oh,
not
no,
bad
not to
enough.
the point Holy Cross.
Yeah.
Holy Cross is probably going to lose to Southern and not even make it into the actual round of 64. Right. Traditionally, the 1 through 4 teams are... AP teams are normally the 1 seeds.
Yeah.
This year you've got the number 1 team in the country, Kansas. UNC was 7. Oregon 8. Virginia, I believe, was 3.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan State and Nova, you're in the top 5 in the country, and you get 2 seeds. Top 4 in the country. And you lose them.
I think this year they really took more into account of like RPI.
Oh yeah. Well, UNC's got the best BPI in the entire country.
Yeah.
Which put them there. Oregon, not, we talked about the Pac-12 earlier, not really in a strong conference, but number 2 RPI.
Right.
And coming into the tournament 10-2. I still think Michigan State's a better team than Oregon, but I mean, you're right. They took in a different number of factors than they normally do.
But I think this year is going to be the year to show us that seeds do not matter, won't matter.
No. I mean, they really, other than setting the bracket, they really don't.
Yeah. It's just any other game.
An integrity and a pride thing. It's a slap in the face to Michigan State and Nova. But, does it really affect anything? No.
Well, it might make them...
If you're good enough to win, you're going to win as a 1 or a 2 or, it doesn't matter. All right, enough about that. So we've got our final 4 picks. He's got Kansas. I've got UConn. We're going to take a quick music break. When we come back, we're going to break down the East. And in case you don't know, that's UNC's quadrant. We'll be right back.
Well, it feels like an elephant shaking this big great trunk for the hell of it. You know that you're dreaming about being loved by him. Too bad your chances are slim. And it's not like Mr. Shut the Gate shout when they ask him who is on top. Then one something deep down in the deep down there. He's not too easily scared. He's got friends, but they got fear. Wouldn't care too much if he just disappeared. Oh, look, there he is now, coming down the stairs. Here he comes. He pulled the mirrors off his Cadillac, 'cause he doesn't like it looking like he looks back. He don't like his opinion, it's a simple fact. Somebody grabbed his collar, he cried the whole way home. Oh, remember everything when I saw him again. That's how it is till the end. Yeah.
Alrighty, we are back on from J to Z. He's got Kansas. I've got UConn in the South. I'm going to move on to the East. North Carolina is the number 1 seed. Neither one of us, correct me if I'm wrong, has North Carolina going out against the probably Florida Gulf Coast.
Yeah. I don't think we need to touch any more on this. Obviously, it's going to be a UNC win.
Okay. Who is UNC going to be playing?
Florida Gulf Coast.
Okay. In the round of 32, who are they going to be?
Providence over USC.
I've got the same.
Yeah.
Uh,
Providence is always good.
they were so good at the beginning of the season. Like, made it. They broke the top 10, and they're another one of those teams like a Maryland and Iowa that, like, what happened? I mean,
I don't know. They just hit a slump, I guess.
They're the favorite in Vegas to upset by 2 points. They finished their season 6-6, which is why, I mean, they beat Nova at one point, beat Arizona, lost to Seton Hall because Seton Hall can beat every team in the Big East, but
Right.
apparently can't win the thing.
Right. No, I got Providence. I think they're just a better team. They might not have shown it the last part of the season, but I think they're a better team than USC.
Yeah, I don't give USC too much credit. I don't really think there's too much deserved. Indiana, Chattanooga. Who you got?
Indiana.
Same. Kentucky, Stony Brook.
Kentucky.
Yeah, that one kind of goes without saying.
I'm
Kentucky.
surprised Kentucky was a 4 seed. I thought they'd be a little higher just because of their
name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Duke's a 4 seed too.
Right.
I mean they just won the championship last year.
Yeah,
that's part of the fun of it. I mean,
Kentucky was a 4 seed last year too, I believe, weren't they?
They were 4 or 6.
I think they were 4 last year.
Yeah, they were. But I mean, they made.
They made it to the Final Four, didn't they?
Yeah, they made a run.
I'm expecting that again this year, so we'll see.
Notre Dame. Do you have Michigan, or I'm assuming Michigan winning the playing game?
Yeah.
Do you have them upsetting Notre Dame?
No, I have Notre Dame
Okay.
winning. Michigan is typically a good March Madness team.
Right.
I just don't think they have the talent this year to keep that going. So I think Notre Dame's going to get the win against Michigan, just because they've had a pretty good year, pretty decent year.
Yeah, I mean, I probably the strongest 6 seed for whatever that's worth.
Right.
Nothing. But yeah, I've Michigan. It just no. Notre Dame's going to win that game.
Right. The only thing bad, Notre Dame had a few bad losses, but I don't think that really indicates what kind of team they are.
No, they're more talented than Michigan.
Right.
At some point, being a good March Madness team doesn't mean much. I think this is that instant. Notre Dame is just a more talented team. They're going to win.
Right.
Do you have SF Austin beating West Virginia?
No.
Okay. Well,
West
good.
Virginia.
Me neither.
Yep.
Pretty handily, I think West Virginia is going to win that game.
Yeah.
Xavier,
Wisconsin, Pitt.
Wisconsin. Who do you have?
This was a tough one. I chose Wisconsin, but I wouldn't be
did I.
surprised if Pitt won. They kind of got on a roll there towards the end of the season, but I still think Wisconsin's a better team.
Yeah, I picked Wisconsin too. Coin toss game. I mean, either one of those teams could win it, and I think whichever one wins it is going to lose to Xavier in the second round.
Right.
I don't see Xavier losing that game.
Weber State.
Yeah.
Weber State.
No, Xavier's going to come out,
Yeah.
and it really doesn't matter who they face. I see them moving pretty comfortably into the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Who are they facing?
I
Yeah, West Virginia, Notre
have
Dame.
them facing West Virginia.
Okay, as do I.
We talked about Notre Dame being a good team. I mentioned how they have some bad losses. Losing to West Virginia won't be a bad loss, but I think they won't be able to keep up with West Virginia's offense.
Yeah, BPI West Virginia has the 7th BPI in the country, which is supposed to be like the total measure of how good a team is.
Right.
So by that logic, they're the 7th best team in the country. Played in a pretty tough conference, and I've got West Virginia. I've got West Virginia beating Xavier too. To go to the Elite Eight.
I wouldn't go that far. I put Xavier beating West Virginia. Good game, very good game, but
yeah, I hope that one happens.
I'm going to stick locally for that game, that matchup.
I've got West Virginia winning because I think they will. I want Xavier to win that game, and I want to watch that game in its entirety.
Right.
Because I think that would be a great basketball game.
Right. I agree. So Iowa, Kentucky.
Yep.
Kentucky moving on, Iowa moving on, or Indiana moving on.
I've got Kentucky.
Yeah,
like we said before, just because they're a March Madness team. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Indiana upset Kentucky. When Kentucky was having their monster season.
Honestly, I think Kentucky's got this hands down.
Yeah, I don't
Indiana's
know about
a good
hands
team.
down.
I think Indiana's a good team, but I don't think they'll be able to keep up with Kentucky.
Yeah, I think Kentucky will win. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think it'll be a pretty close game.
I'm not saying it'll be a blowout. I'm saying Kentucky's gonna
Comfortably
be in the lead most of the game.
Fair enough. I'm assuming you've got them facing UNC.
Yes, UNC. Providence is definitely not near the talent that UNC has.
No. UNC's got the number 1 BPI in the country, which got them the number 1 seed, being AP7. So, I mean, they are a strong team.
Yeah, I don't see UNC losing to Providence.
Do they lose to Kentucky?
No, I have them beating Kentucky.
I've got them beating Kentucky. So you've got North Carolina Xavier. Who you got?
I have North Carolina Xavier. You have UNC West Virginia, and
Correct.
I'm going to take UNC past Xavier.
I've got UNC as well to face the winner of the Midwest bracket. Just,
I don't think it really matters, honestly. UNC, I think, is a unanimous decision in that bracket, or in that quadrant.
Whoever the other teams,
right?
I mean, no one's going to get past UNC.
Right.
I don't see that happening. They're too well-rounded, and they're deep. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to take another quick break. We've got the top half of our bracket eliminated. 2 winners. We'll get the 2 opponents for those 2 when we come back. Going to start out with the Midwest. That's Virginia as the number 1 seed. We'll be right back in about 10 minutes.
Everybody get up, it's time to slam now. We got the real jam going down. Welcome to the Space Jam. Here's your chance, do your dance at the Space Jam. All right.
Alrighty, we're back on From J to Z, coming at you from the Jack and Jones Trader Studio in CCM, part of the Electronic Media Division. We're going to break down the Midwest Division. Are they divisions? What? Region?
Region.
Yep, region. All right, Midwest region. Virginia is the 1 seed. We've discussed this. I'm not going to go into it anymore. Virginia's going to win that game.
Yeah.
Texas Tech, Butler, who you got? These 8-9 seeds are the tough ones. I think the toughest ones.
I picked Butler, and now that I notice this, every 8 and 9 game, I have the 9 beating the 8. But yeah, I took Butler over Texas Tech.
I'm the same way, actually. I've got every 9 beating an 8. Those are...
That's just really a...
I mean, it's like it couldn't... Seeding-wise, couldn't be any closer.
I don't think there's any difference. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's... How big of a difference could there be between an 8 and a 9?
I think they're just all interchangeable. Just, oh, sorry, we decided to make you a 9 instead of an 8. Like,
yeah, I'm picking 9s. I've got all of them. Butler, kind of.
Butler's always a decent March Madness team too.
Yeah.
Well, that's back when they had their coach, Brad Stevens.
Historically, 9 seeds not favorable against 8 seeds. 2007 was the last time that 2 number 9 seeds or more beat 8 seeds, and we've got all 4 9 seeds winning.
Well,
so we're in the minority as far as historically we're in the minority, but it's been an upset heavy season. 9 versus an 8 is hardly an upset. I should take back those words. Purdue, Little Rock.
Little Rock, I think, had like the second best winning percentage this year.
29-4.
Yeah.
10-2 in their last games.
Kansas only better at 30-4.
Yeah. The difference here is, depending on how much you focus on BPI, Purdue is 10. So by that logic, the 10th best team in the country.
That's surprisingly high for me.
Surprisingly high. But I mean, the Big Ten was pretty solid this year.
That's true.
Little Rock 62. Not even close.
Honestly, that's still higher than I thought it was going to be.
Well, I mean, for a 29-4 record with 62, I mean...
Yeah, you're right.
There's only 64 teams in the tournament. So, and some of those teams didn't even make it to the actual NCAA tournament.
That makes sense.
Purdue, I think, they win that game handily. Who faces Purdue? Iowa State, Iona.
Is that even a question?
Nope.
Yeah.
Iowa State. Seton Hall seems to be everyone's kryptonite. I don't see how Gonzaga is going to stop that.
I have Seton Hall as well.
Seton Hall facing
Utah over Fresno State. Fresno State is a decent team. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw an upset there, but I think Utah's going to still win.
Utah's like one of those teams that I feel like can't decide if they're good or not. They lost Oregon 3 times, lost to Miami by 24, beat Arizona, Colorado twice, Texas Tech, California twice, and Duke.
It's just one of those things. Are they ready to show up and play? Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Seton Hall beat Nova, Xavier twice, Providence twice, Wichita State. Like, what? What do you mean?
Quality wins. A resume of quality wins doesn't get much better than that.
No,
quite honestly.
that's insanely impressive. That's 3 top 5 teams.
Yeah.
That's crazy impressive. Seton Hall. I've got Seton Hall going into the Sweet 16.
Yeah, me too.
Dayton, Syracuse. Do you have an upset, or are you picking the Flyers?
Syracuse was kind of a surprise.
Agreed. Kind of a big name for a 10 seed.
I did pick them over Dayton. I don't know if that was a good pick.
It's the first round.
I thought Syracuse is in there for a reason.
Right.
So I took them. Hate to go against a local team like that in the first round, but
it's
I just feel like Syracuse is going to grab the win from Dayton.
Yeah. I've got Dayton. Again, a coin toss game. A lot of the round of 64 games, I feel like you can say that, but there's still a lot of them that like...
Except for the higher seeds.
I just, I mean, even a 7-10, like, we'll get into the next one, I think, is the biggest chance, Oregon State VCU. I don't think that's nearly as close as a Dayton-Syracuse game is.
Yeah.
Dayton Syracuse to me is a completely legitimate coin toss.
I think Wisconsin Pitt's a coin toss too. The 7 and 10 from the East region.
It's I've got Dayton coming out against facing Michigan State. No way Michigan State loses to Mid Tennessee. Come on. I'm assuming you've got Michigan State coming out against Dayton, or you've got Syracuse. I've got them beating Dayton.
Regardless, Michigan State's going to win that.
Really doesn't matter who faces. Michigan State is insanely hot coming into the 11-1 in their last 12 games. Number 2 AP rank in the country. In my opinion, the biggest snub, only because they didn't get a 1 seed when they deserved it.
Right.
But whatever, it doesn't. It only gives them a little easier path, I think.
So, Michigan State over Syracuse, Seton Hall over Utah.
Seton Hall over Utah. They've just the resume.
Agreed.
Purdue, Iowa State to face.
Close game, but I'm taking Iowa State.
I've got Purdue.
They have Niang, another Wooden Award player, dropped, I think, 31 points against Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship. If he shows up to play, I don't see Purdue getting past him. I think Iowa State's a very talented team. They have a lot of weapons.
Yeah, both these teams coming out of pretty strong conferences.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm a BPI guy, so I'm going to go Purdue. But I like that's another one of those games. Even for
4-5, that's as close as you can get.
Right.
Even
for an early matchup, I would really like to see that game.
Yeah.
I think that would be a really good game, even though it's a 4-5. Not horribly low seeds, but like I feel like that would be a really good game to watch.
Yeah.
I'm a Virginia Butler. You got Virginia.
Yeah.
Virginia Purdue. Who you got?
I'm Virginia ISU, but I have Virginia.
All right,
Again, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Again, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I've got Virginia Purdue. Virginia coming out. Honestly, I would not be too surprised if Purdue won that game. Just going off last year with how much hype Virginia had and how much they could not prove themselves.
Right.
But that was last year. Last year, Purdue was not the same team they are this year either. I would not be surprised if Virginia dropped that game.
Yeah.
I do have them winning. I think they've got a better chance to win than Purdue. I would say it's probably like 60-40 Virginia. It's not that big of a difference.
I think the only thing that's going to surprise me this March Madness is if a 1, 2, or 3 seed loses in like the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think much of anything is going to surprise me.
No, not at all. Even a 1 seed dropping in the it would surprise you, but like it compared to years past wouldn't really surprise. I'm almost rooting for it to happen because I know it's going to. It's just how many times does it?
Yeah.
So you've got Virginia facing the winner of Seton Hall, Michigan State.
Michigan State.
Yeah. Seton Hall has been everyone's kryptonite. Michigan State, different conference, better conference.
Better conference.
And just a hotter team.
Right.
Better. Michigan State would have won the Big East handily, I think. I don't really have too much of a doubt. I've got Michigan State, Virginia. Coming out of that matchup, 1 versus 2, who you got?
Michigan State.
As do I.
I love the way Denzel Valentine plays.
Yeah,
I think he's a front runner for the Wooden Award right now. He's just an all-around awesome player.
I think the biggest thing that I like about Michigan State is that they've had a few guys on the team for a couple of years now.
Well, regardless if Valentine wasn't there, I still think Michigan State's a better team.
Yeah, I would too, and especially just because my confidence in Virginia is. What confidence? I mean, it's not existent until they prove themselves.
Yeah. I don't think they're a 1 seed.
No.
I think Michigan State should have been in that 1 seed, but it doesn't matter, obviously, if we have Michigan State winning either way.
Yeah, Virginia's up there because of RPI and BPI. Not a super impressive resume, but 26-7 in a really tough schedule.
Yeah.
And that 7 losses as a 1 seed is, that's very unusual. But yeah, I've got Michigan State coming out. I Yeah, they're just a better team. So Michigan State, North Carolina, we both have.
So I have Kansas in the South. You have UConn in the South. Both have UNC in the East, and both have MSU in the Midwest.
Correct. And we will break down the West, the last remaining quadrant. Oregon's the number 1 seed. Going to take a quick one-song break. When we come back, we'll break that down. Then we're going to get into really fun stuff. We'll be right back. Alrighty, we're back to wrap up the regional play. We both picked Oregon. Don't be surprised. St. Joe, Cincinnati.
UC. Not just because of the local. 50% because of the local. 50% because I think they're better. 75% because of their local.
I'm split with you. I mean, it's hard. I don't want to pick against my school. I honestly do think they'll win the game.
I would have picked against my school if it was a better team, but I think regardless, they're still better.
Yeah, I mean, I picked Harvard a couple of years ago when they upset us as a 5 seed. I picked Harvard. I thought they would win the game, and they did.
Yeah,
I think Cincinnati will win this game. They're really. I mean, they're even for being not a top 25 team. They're known for their physicality.
Well, you just said a minute ago their BPI was 27. Like that's as close as you can get, other than 26.
You know, we were in the AP top 25 for a little bit, dropped out, never really came back in, or really made it too close, except towards the tail end of the season. But really physical, strong defensive team.
Always strong. We actually improved offensively this year too. Last year we were mostly known for our good defense, but we kept our good defense alive this year, and we got a little better, more efficient offensively too.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't do anything with Sean Kilpatrick, so that we'll see. I'm not putting too much faith in it, but I do think Cincinnati will win. Baylor, Yale.
Baylor.
Same.
Baylor, yeah.
Yeah. No faith in the Ivy League. Duke, I'm just gonna.
I actually heard that this was an upset that a lot of people chose. UNC Wilmington over Duke. I don't know much about UNC Wilmington, but I think I know
anybody else.
I think I know more about Duke that they're going to win. So
yeah, to give you UNC's resume, they beat Hofstra twice, and that's probably the only team you would recognize.
Yeah.
Duke's a 10-point favorite in Vegas. They've done it a couple times where Duke's dropped in the first couple rounds. So, like, would it surprise me? Not a ton, but, like, not against UNCW. Like, no.
Yep.
There's one North Carolina team that's going to do well in this tournament, and it's not UNCW, sorry. Texas, Northern Iowa.
Texas.
This was tough for me.
I knew Northern Iowa was a decent team, but
yeah.
I didn't think this was an upset-worthy pick, so I just went ahead and went with Texas.
Texas is a strong team, and I like Shaka Smart. I was going to say he's a smart guy. I'm not, hit myself upside the head for that. I thought about this one, actually, for just being around a 64 game. I thought about this one for a while. I could go either way. I went with Texas. Mostly because of Shaka Smart and because
Texas's down low play is really good too.
Yeah, they're in the paint. They're a really tough team. A&M of Texas, that is Green Bay.
A&M.
Yeah, a Horizon League team.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're not. That's just not even fair. Oregon State, VCU.
I took VCU.
So did I.
Yeah.
A lot of that's based on stuff that this team was not even, no one on this current team was there for. The magic that happened a few years ago.
With Shaka Smart.
Yeah, with Shaka, exactly. But something, it's March Madness.
I'm surprised Oregon State got a 7 seed. I thought they'd be a little bit lower.
Yeah, they're not. I think that's what made this a little, they're 19-12.
Right.
Tough conference. 7-5 to finish out the season. 9-9 in conference play. 61 BPI. Like nothing about that screams 7 seed.
Right.
Probably
the other 7 seeds have at least 20 wins.
UC's a 9 seed, and we have a much better record. Given
I think we're a much better team regardless.
Yeah. 7 seed is not. They're not a 7 seed.
Right.
On paper, no.
So I'm assuming you have Oklahoma over Bakersfield.
I thought about this for all of about a second. Ended up going with Oklahoma.
Yeah, right.
And I took them to beat VCU.
I also took them to beat VCU as well.
Battle of Texas. Who you got?
A&M.
Same.
I can't believe they slaughtered LSU the way they did at
LSU's a
71 to
joke.
38.
I've said it a few times because
Jeez.
Ben Simmons. Now I wouldn't have thought that it would have been that bad. I give Ben Simmons a lot of hate.
He didn't even play that good. He got a double-double again, yes, but
Was a double that gave him half his team's points?
he had 10 points, so he had a third.
Assisted. He was involved in every point.
Basically, most likely, yeah. In some way or another.
But like, I give him a lot of hate. I think he's so overrated. He might be.
I agree.
And before this game, I thought he was too. And this game, I think, proved it. No good player lets that happen. And it's just he's.
It doesn't matter.
I could go into
They're
a whole
not in
tangent.
there. He's
They're not in it.
here.
We don't have to talk about him. He's not even going to be in college
It'll
next
come
year.
up when the NBA draft comes along.
Yeah, and hopefully he doesn't go to the Bulls. He'll end up playing for Golden State. Baylor Duke.
Did you have A&M beating Texas as well?
I did.
Okay. Baylor Duke. I took Duke. Close game, but
I agree. I think
Coach
it was
K.
a close game.
Coach K. He's a smart guy, I'd say.
He's one of those. I mean, it's the same reason you take a Kentucky.
Right. Yeah.
They're a 4 seed, but it's Kentucky and it's March, and why wouldn't you?
I mean, Duke. They got Grayson Allen, man.
Oh yeah, they're gonna need like 7 or 8 refs for that game.
Oregon, UC.
I mean, I want UC to win, but like Oregon's so hot.
I agree.
I don't think they deserve a 1 seed, but it doesn't matter if they were a 2 seed. I think they'd beat UC.
Yeah, I agree.
As much as I don't want it to happen,
As much as
it's
I love
going
UC,
to.
obviously.
It's going to. All right.
Oregon, Duke.
Still got Oregon.
Yeah.
I think this is the point where Duke's
Slightly lack of talent this year.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still very talented, just not as talented as past.
Yeah, not enough. Coach K can only take that so
Right.
far, and Grace Allen's probably going to be suspended by the time we get to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I
So-
agree. I took Oregon. A&M, Oklahoma.
I really want to. This is another one of those that I really want to watch, but I've got Oklahoma.
I do too. I think Buddy Hield's gonna really turn it on.
What makes me nervous is that Oklahoma could lose in the second round, and like it wouldn't be a huge surprise. But now we've got them going into the Elite Eight.
Well, here's the thing. Oklahoma, I feel like, has been one of the most inconsistent teams. And it's really, if Buddy Hield plays well, they'll win. If he doesn't play well, sorry.
Right. I mean, no, you're right.
So
They're completely centered around him.
right.
He could get hurt.
I
in
mean,
the first game.
I would too, though. Like,
yeah,
he's,
you have to.
yeah.
I mean, he's that good. He's debatably the best player in the country.
right. Oklahoma, Oregon.
Oklahoma.
Yeah,
In
I
the
took
Final Four.
Oklahoma as well.
The first 2 times I went through my bracket 3 separate times and to get what I've got right now. The first 2 times I had Oregon, actually in the final game.
I'm confident in Oklahoma. I didn't hesitate. I mean, I thought about it for a second, like, it's a good matchup, but I'm confident in Oklahoma.
I'm more confident in their out of conference play. They have 7 losses on the season. They play in what I think is the toughest conference in all of basketball.
Yeah.
6 of their 7 losses were in conference. So to me, they get out of conference. They have 1 loss. They're 13-1 out of conference. That is incredibly impressive.
Right, yeah. Because I don't think they didn't have a weak out of conference schedule
No,
either.
They beat Nova by 23,
Yeah.
West Virginia twice, Iowa State twice. Like, they lost to Kansas, but so did everyone else.
Yeah.
So that just hardly means anything. And the first game against Kansas was maybe the greatest college basketball game of all time.
Yeah.
I just just so entertaining, crazy entertaining.
When they played Iowa State for the championship, Hield had 39 points.
Yeah.
Niang had 31.
It's just a really good team.
Yeah.
Probably should have been the number 1.
I agree.
Okay.
I thought they were a number 1 team as well.
A
Over Oregon.
bubble number 1
Over
team.
Oregon.
Over Oregon.
Yeah.
Upon third review, I was silly of me to think that Oregon would beat Oklahoma. Oklahoma's going to win that game.
Right.
All right. So we've got our Final Four. I've got UConn facing Oklahoma.
I have Kansas facing Oklahoma.
And we both have UNC Michigan State.
Right.
So fairly, we didn't make these together. We're kind of figuring this out, each other's picks as we go. 3 of the 4 same teams in the Final Four. We're going to take a 1-song break. When we come back, we'll give you our winners, national championship, wrap you up, and get you to bed a little early. We'll be right back.
Chewing on a piece of grass, walking down the road. Tell me, how long you gonna stay here, Joe? Some people say this town don't look good in snow. You don't care, I know. Ventura Highway in the sunshine, where the days are longer, the nights are stronger than moonshine. You're gonna go, I know. Cause the free wind is blowing through your hair, and the days surround your daylight there. Seasons crying, no despair. Alligator lizards in the air, in the air. Wishing on a falling star, waiting for the early train. Sorry, boy, but I've been hit by purple rain. Aw, come on, Joe, you can always change your name. Thanks a lot, son, just the same. Ventura Highway in the sunshine, where the days are longer, the nights are stronger than moonshine. You're gonna go, I know. Cause the free wind is blowing through your hair, and the days surround your daylight there. Seasons crying, no despair. Alligator lizards in the air, in the
Alrighty, we are back on From J to Z. Gonna talk some Final Four now. We've made it to the Final Four. I've got UConn, Oklahoma. He's got Kansas, Oklahoma. Who you got coming out of that game?
I chose Oklahoma. Like I said earlier, Kansas always seems to get knocked out. I said I chose Kansas over UConn because I didn't think they'd get knocked out that early, but I do think they'll get knocked out in the Final Four. I think Oklahoma's going to be able to get past them.
Yeah, UConn I think brings a lot of magic. That's why I've got them in my Final Four. I think they are this year's Cinderella. I think that stops at Oklahoma.
Yeah,
I've got Oklahoma coming out of that too to play for the title. They're just we talked about it right before break, so we don't have to repeat all that again. They're just a really good team.
Right.
And they've
It's
proven
hard to compete with Buddy Hield, too.
It's hard to compete. And, I feel pretty confident with that pick. That even if they faced Kansas, I agree with you. I think they're going to end up in the title game. They don't have a horribly hard path, I don't think.
So we both had UNC and Michigan State. I
We
took
do.
Michigan State.
It pains me because I do like rooting for UNC, and they're the number 1 BPI team.
Yeah.
So statistics say UNC is going to win this game. But this is the point in the season where if you're hot, it matters more than any other point of the year. And Michigan State's really hot right now.
I like Tom Izzo better than Roy Williams, too.
For whatever that's worth.
Yeah. Coach preference is a big deal.
It makes all the difference. It's there's a lot of statistical analysis that goes into coaching and coaching preference.
I just think Michigan State's too deep.
They're just I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised at this point. There's not a whole lot of room for
Once you
surprises.
get into the Elite Eight and Final Four, there's no surprises.
Exactly. And it's a 1 versus a 2, and debatably should have. I mean, you could flip the seeds.
I feel like for the majority of people, once you get down to the Elite Eight and Final Four, it's personal
a crapshoot.
preference. It's
Yeah.
personal preference more than statistical analysis on who you should win.
Agreed. Which means, and I promise you, we did not set these brackets up together. We found this out right before we came back. Oklahoma, Michigan State, we both have them.
Both have Michigan State.
We both have Michigan State winning.
What was your tiebreaker?
I think, and I did put a little bit of thought into this based on how many points the teams usually give up and how many they usually score. I've got 75-71 Spartans.
I have 73-67 Spartans.
Alrighty. So that wraps up our bracket. We've Michigan State, Oklahoma, both of us. Both of us have Michigan State coming out on top. Just a really hot team. Got hot at the right time. And that translates to a title. At least for me it does. Well, for both of us, obviously it does.
Right.
All right. So we're going to wrap up a little early tonight. That's all we've got for you. Thanks for listening while we took you from J to Z and everything sports. Check us out on Twitter at BearcastJ, the number 2Z. Visit our YouTube channel to listen to previous shows.
Going to take a week off, spring break, have a little fun. We'll see you back in 2 weeks. Until then, Cincinnati, have a good night.
Good night.